Ladies and gentlemen, this is my interview with poet and author Ricki Dorn.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the Dick Buttons interviews a woman I came across on Facebook. Her poetry spoke to me. Ladies and gentlemen, poet, author, Ricki Dorn. Welcome to the show.
Thank
All
you.
right, good. You've often said that poetry is your first language. What does that mean to you personally?
What it means is when I'm sitting at my desk writing poetry, I'm thinking poetry. Sometimes I'm out in the world and something happens and I think poetry. I can't think of an example right this minute, but perhaps as we go on, I will. I think of rhymes. I think of landscape, which is how a poem looks. And, out in the world, it's kind of there. It's just always there.
Okay. And you've often also said that poetry is almost like music to you. So what makes a poem sing to you?
What makes it sing? The alliteration, sometimes 3 or 4 letters, words that begin with the same letter, the rhythm, the beat, how it sounds. I always advise people when they buy a poetry book to read the poems out loud. Don't just sit there and read them silently. Read them out loud so you can hear it.
That's good advice. And you're also fascinated by rhyme schemes beyond the traditional patterns. So what challenges you to giving yourself when you're writing? What challenges do you give yourself?
I like the way the complicated rhyme schemes look and sound. I don't wanna just do A, B, B, C, C. I
Right.
wanna do something maybe like, Edgar Allan Poe did, and I have one of his, later on. Um, it's the visual and the sound, I guess, would be my answers.
That's a good answer. And you also pay attention to the visual appearance of a poem on the page. How important is that aesthetic layout
That's
to the
very
readers?
that's very important. When I submit my poems to my publisher and they send it back to me to check it, sometimes they have the lines all messed up, and I think to myself, "How could they do that?" That's very important. Just as when we go out in the world, a man wants to wear a particular kind of clothing, a lady likes to check her makeup and her hair, and the landscape is the physical appearance, which I think is important.
Yeah. Now, and
Um
sometimes I've noticed because I was reading some of your stuff, you eliminate punctuation entirely. What does that freedom allow you to accomplish when you get to do
Well,
that?
that's a couple things. Sometimes I eliminate all of it because the poem's content is so intense. I don't want anything there to add. I want it just to be by itself. And then sometimes I eliminate, like Emily Dickinson, just for the fun of it.
There you go. That's a great answer. Now, you also once said, I love to play with words. Can you give us an example of how a single word has inspired you for an
Well,
entire
actually,
poem?
that's in my lesson plan down the road when I ask you to, all right, when I talk about profiles in poetry, I'll just show you the cover for a second. Profiles in
Okay.
poetry, that's the newest one, and, it's my most recent one. It's a skinny book, but it covers a lot of ground, and it offers you, dear readers, the following. It offers you poetry, literary analysis, quatrains, Shakespearean quatrains, social commentary, and wordplay. And then you might ask me, what's wordplay? Well, one example of wordplay is a recipe for cranberry meatloaf in rhyme, of course. Another one is an invitation to a punctuation party. And I'd like to share that poem with you, if I may.
Go ahead.
A punctuation party, and you are invited. In attendance will be, oh, let me just say one other thing about
Sure.
punctuation party. That employs the literary device of personification, which applies human characteristics to non human items. Okay, some of you may
Okay.
know, some not. In attendance will be these folks, commas, periods, and semicolon two. Question marks and exclamation points all dressed up and here for you. You'll meet apostrophes and colons, in hot paragraphs they'll be, italics, brackets, and ellipsis, flirting with you and me. We serve hyphen salad and vegetable dashes and cream of quotation soup for lunch. Please come to the punctuation party. We'll drink a toast with parentheses punch. Now, let me give some credit here. The laser show by the highlighters, catered by Kathy Kama's Cool Cuisine, music by Mark, proofreader, and the summaries, and entertainment by the plural possessives. So that's an example of wordplay. I just played with it. I just,
Mhm.
just let it all go. And
That was
that's
fun. That was very fun.
did you like
So
that?
I did, I liked it a lot, yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes,
so
and it
Ricky,
rhymed. I'm
it
kind
did,
of
yes.
old school. I'm kind of old school. A lot of the poems now are not rhyme. They say rhyming is passé, but I like the rhyme for 2 reasons. Number 1, I like the challenge, and number 2, I like how it sounds.
Yeah, no, and to me, it's easier to read, like, I've come across poems, like you said, that don't rhyme, and for the life of me, I there's no cadence to it, to me, it seems disjointed.
Right. Now, they say though there are a couple of different things. We've got paragraphs, which are we've got prose, which are in paragraphs, and we have poems, which are in stanzas. And then we have prose poems, which are poems not rhymed.
Mhm.
So those are some things that are out there now.
Now, what inspired you to gather decades of poetry and finally publish your first collection?
Well, that's a good question. I have every poem that I've ever written. Some of them are still on index cards or notebook paper, and some of them are in the computer, of course, and some of them are
Mhm.
in books. Um, I looked at all of them and I thought, I should do something. I don't know if these are genius, but I could just do something with them. So I put them in books. And my first 2 books, the first one was Strands of Rhyme, Poems from the Real World. And the second one was Poetry, My First Language. Each of them has 91 poems.
Wow.
Wow, that particular number, I don't know, it just came out that way. But I thought, let me just put them together. I have some samples from each of these if you wanna hear any of them.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let me start with Strands of Rhyme. Let me point out one other thing. This is Business of Living. This is a
Okay.
group of essays. This is my only deviation from the poems. When you get to be elderly, you get a lot of opinions on things. And when you write them down, they become essays in this book. So that's where we are. Okay, so let me start with Strands of Rhyme. Um, these are some of the chapter names, and I love to name chapters and I love to name poems. People say, well, I wrote this poem, and um, I just love to. Here are some of the names from the chapters in this. We have social commentary, age, ages, and aging, cities and other places, time, weather, and seasons, words on words. And I like to share a poem called Mexico by Motorcycle. And this has been one of the very popular ones. My husband loves it, and I love it. The cover, by the way, was done by my son Tobin Dorn, who is an artist. He's a practicing graphic artist now. Mexico by Motorcycle. One summer, I cycled across Mexico with only small gas cans from stations like Texaco. I spoke no Espanol when I arrived, but soon learned food words so I could survive. Though my friend and I planned one Acapulco week, our trip became a 20-day vacation streak. From ballet folklorico to outdoor market selling rugs, street vendors offered us jewelry, croquetas, cafe, and drugs. Mi amiga was fluente en tien and novios in every little city. Those guys were so much fun, energetic and witty. Our last night there, a huge earthquake struck. Asleep, I thought it a dream and ignored it. My luck. We flew home with memories of soup made of chicken and barley. But my favorite part was that rented red and silver Harley. So we had a very good time in Mexico. Um, Another one I'd like to share is a true story. And people say, well, where do you get the ideas for your poems? Two places, out there and in
And in
here.
here.
Okay. The one I'm going to share is called Body Piercer in Residence. And as I say, this is a true story. Bag boy, construction, takeout cook. Some of our son's jobs while in college. But the winner was the one he learned on his own with self acquired knowledge. Certain friends had jewelry on their skin. Our son deemed them cool and mused how to begin. He got a few piercings, watched how they were done, and then asked his dad to be client number one. To show support, his dad tensely agreed and happily lived to tell the tale. Even tried to interest some of his own friends, but that was to no avail. Our son pierced a few pals as favors for free. His skill and confidence grew, we could see. He shopped my dining table, our sofa, the waiting room. He had cards printed, and business began to boom. He did tongues and belly buttons for some, eyebrows, labrays, and noses for others. Customers came with their boyfriends and girlfriends. A few even arrived with their mothers. I stocked our freezer with baggies of ice cubes to numb the soreness and keep the swelling down. He was clean, cute, honest, and funny. His good reputation spread all over town. One girl showed up with her father, a doctor, who brought a syringe of xylocaine, hoping to spare his child discomfort, but she said, "No problem, Daddy, no pain." Our son pored over jewelry magazines and learned quickly which styles would sell. He constantly honed his technique. In this profession he did quite well. Our son earned enough money that year to go to Europe and to buy himself a truck. He credits his success to hard work, ethics, passion for his craft, and of course, some luck. Widespread demand for piercing fell somewhat, and like all bubbles do, one day this one burst. But of the stories he'll tell his own teens someday, this colorful episode may be one of the first. So that's Body Piercer in Residence, and that is from Strands of Rhyme.
Now all these are available on Amazon?
Um, uh, yes and no.
Okay.
I was going to talk about that. If anybody would like to buy them, I would like to have you buy them from me because I can give you a better price and I can also sign them, which when you do on Amazon, you don't get.
Got it.
My email is raindance3930
I'll put that up on the screen
at
after I do the
at gmail.com. And if you zell it to me, I'll send you the code.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Strands of Rhyme.
Can we hear another one, Ricky?
Yes. Now I'm going to go to uh oh now I'm going to go to to poetry, my first language. And this next one is a real favorite of mine. These are some of the chapters: poetry soup, beauty of the beasts, love stories, war stories, social commentary, selfies. All right. The one I'm going to do first is from Beauty of the Beast, and it's called Amy the Good Gorilla. This
Oh,
poem I
okay.
wrote um, about the main character in Michael Crichton's novel Congo. Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm a good gorilla. You have made your language mine, so now we can communicate. You speak to me, and in response, I sign. Sign language is the bond we share. I wear my knowledge like a royal cape. We conversationally romp on the island that bridges the seas of man and ape. When I want some love or attention, I sign. I'm Amy, good gorilla. Let's take a walk. Give me a hug. Ice cream, please. I like vanilla. Together we trekked in the heat of the Congo, with research our common goal. You are my teacher, my mentor, my friend, and I play the good student's role. I'm Amy, and I'm a smart gorilla. I know someday we'll have to part. You'll return to your country without me, and I will sign to my babies the love in my heart. I'm Amy, and I'm a good gorilla. So
I
that
like
was,
that one.
you
I
like
like
that
that.
one. The
Yeah.
second one from that book, do we have another minute to do this?
We we have all the time you need, Ricky, whatever you wanna
Okay.
do.
Okay. Let me make a personal confession. I love writing poetry. I love reading my poetry, and I love
I can see.
sharing my poetry.
That's
Why?
awesome.
Because I'm a good gorilla.
Ah,
Okay, so the second one that I wanted to share with you is Key West Duo.
okay,
These are two. One is a typical um, two stanza poem that
okay,
rhymes. And if you've been to Key West, this will sound familiar.
okay, I have.
Pebbles, have you been to Key West?
Yeah,
Of course. All right. Pebbles in my shoes, sand between my toes, drinks at Mallory Square as down the sunset goes. In Key West, relax, refresh, a getaway for two. I'm so glad the other person here with me is you. That's the first one, and that's a typical one. The other one is more visual. And there's one particular line that I love, and I'm going to ask the readers to listen and see if there's one particular line that stands out to you.
okay.
Okay. Duval Street is jumping like Mexican beans. Sounds and smells both assaulting and stimulating tourists in Key West for a respite from their own drama. Boutiques with high priced goods sit behind shops which display tacky t shirts and souvenirs of every variety. Myriads of restaurants post their menus as far forward as the street to entice visitors who are hungry, thirsty, lonely, tired, or bored. Music calls out. Even at night, humidity persists. Air conditioned guest house or motel too many blocks away. Everybody's sweat walks with the crowd. New tattoo, body pierce, beer, taxi, motor scooter, pedicab, girls, guys, both, a show, a dozen ways to leave your money in Old Key West as your footprints in the sand. Okay, that was Key West Duo. Were there any lines that spoke
I
to you, Dick?
The one that I enjoyed the most was, "The people's sweat walks with them." I enjoyed that one.
That's the one. That's the one I was hoping. I totally love that. I just feel it when I say it.
Yes, you
Everybody's
just
sweat
I can
walks
just
with
being
her.
I picture being on a crowded street, hot, everyone's and the sweat is just the yeah, you brought me right to that spot.
Right, right, right. Exactly right. Um, all right.
Now
Getting back to profiles and poet. You have another question?
yeah, let me get a couple questions in.
Okay.
6
Sure.
books. 6 books, Ricky, is quite an accomplishment. Did you ever imagine that you would become such a prolific author?
Never, never. I went to a writers' conference once and we had a guest speaker who was doing a workshop. And her first question was, when did you really feel like a writer? And I guess I felt like I self published these. I guess I felt like a writer when 3 cartons of books, 100 books, arrived from the publisher and sat on my dining room table for, I don't know, a week. And
Mhm.
every night I'd take one out of the published books and I'd sit on my sofa and I'd read my poems. There are many famous poems whom I admire, but I really enjoy my poems very much. So I guess that sort of answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, and is publishing a book, is it always exciting, or can it be nerve-wracking at the same time?
Um, it's nerve wracking, especially when I send things to the publisher and they send it back for me to check. And I look at it and it has mistakes and I send back the corrections and they either miss the corrections or they make other mistakes. So it's a little bit nerve wracking,
Yeah.
but it's been fun to sell the books as well.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's and so, let me pivot there. It's fun to sell the books. Is that necessary for you, or is the most of the joy
Um,
in the writing?
yes, yes and no. I enjoy the writing, I enjoy the publishing. It's necessary because it gives it some validity.
Yes. Yep.
It adds to taking away some of the cost of publishing it,
Correct.
which is significant, and, I do gift a lot of them, too many. I try
Mhm.
not to gift so many, but my friends and my acquaintances and my colleagues have been really good about buying the book. One friend right now said she wants to buy 4 of them, and it's a whole process. You don't wanna try to pay the rent on money from selling the
Oh,
books.
I mean, listen, you're doing something that you love, right? So if you could make any
Yes.
amount of money from it, to me, that's a win.
Right, right.
Now,
My
you also
husband keeps
mentioned
asking, have we made up all the money we've spent from publishing it? And I say not yet.
right, but it's not about that, right, Ricky? I mean,
No, it's not about that, but that's an element. That
right.
is an element. It justifies it.
Now, I got a kick out of you when you read the chapters in their books. Now, you really it comes off that you enjoy doing it. Why is finding the perfect title so satisfying to you?
It gives them identity. It gives them a name. You have a name. You don't go around without a name. I don't go around
True.
without a name. It
That's
gives
true.
it personality.
Now, Strands of Rhyme covers
Yes.
everything from aging to social commentary. How do you decide what deserves to become a poem?
Um, just in my head, one of the biggest challenges was selecting the sequence. I thought first I would put them all in alphabetical order, but I thought that's not any good.
Mm,
So I just grouped them into all the love poems, all the war poems, all the cities, all the animals, and that seemed to work out better. What becomes a poem? I guess what's in my head.
yeah,
Um, and also, the faster I write it, usually the better it is. If I have to take too much time punching around, with it and going away and coming back, it doesn't usually turn out that well. But the really good ones have rolled right out. I
right.
the really good ones I've written like in 10 minutes. So it's
Wow.
it's been it's been interesting for me to see what happens with me in the poems.
Right. So take walk me through the genesis of a Ricky Dorn poem. Is it you have an idea and then you have to think about it, but like you said, sometimes the best ones just roll out.
Well, sometimes it rolls out. There's one I don't have on my list that rolls out that I maybe will mention later. Um, First, I get a thought, and then I put down the first line. And then I think of a rhyme scheme. Is this going to be AABB, or is it going to be ABAB, or is it going to be ABCD,
Mhm.
EFGD, coming back to that last rhyme? The rhyme is part of the process of writing. And this is something that I include in one of the workshops I do called poetry construction. So it's a thought, it's the writing, it's the landscape. Um, and as it goes along, that's how it is. I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. Now, you said you do workshops. Can anybody be a poet, or do you have to have
Yes.
some internal flair
Yes.
to it?
People come and say, you're right. I wish I could write. And I say, you can. And they say, no, no, I can't. I say, sit down, get a thought, put it on paper. You don't like it, come back and change it. Come to one of my workshops. I did a workshop recently for South Florida writers. It was an hour and a half workshop. I had them write, I had them respond. Um, I think anybody can be a poet. They just have to make an attempt and not be
Mhm.
too critical of themselves.
Right. Now, do you see a similarity between songwriting and poetry?
It's an interesting question. I have 1 or 2 songs that I wrote attempting to put some music to it. I'm not a musician. They started out as poems, and then when I said them, I kind of, put a little beat to it. Yes, of course, there's a similarity. Every song is a poem set to music. To
Right.
answer your question, there's definitely a similarity.
Yeah. So you've never actually gone through and put something to music, like a full-fledged song?
I haven't gone through the whole process. I have a poem called, um, Realistic Love Song that I wrote for my husband the first year we met, and it's, I don't know, 5 or 6 stanzas, and I love the words, but I have never gone through the process of, with the music, and that's on my drawing board. That's something to do.
So, with the advent of AI and AI music that's available to everybody now, I could send you a link to a website that all you have to do is plug your poem into it and then tell it what kind of style you want, and it'll generate the music for you.
Exactly so. AI is very interesting. It does brilliant things in just a few seconds, but it was also a problem when I was a professor at the college. Some of the students started turning in stuff that wasn't theirs. But
Right.
I had a technique. The very first essay, most of the essays they take home and type and turn back type. The very first essay, I always had them write in class so I could see what their writing style was. And,
Mm.
an English teacher identifies that. So you write an essay for me. The second essay comes around, you give me something from AI, and I say, Dick, that wasn't yours. You need to go home and write your own. So that was one of the issues. I'm astounded and impressed with all the things that AI can do,
Yeah, me
but
too.
it has to be careful how it's used.
Do you see a dark side to it also? I always ask all my guests this because it's a very prominent question in the world today. Do you think AI is overused or dangerous?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Right.
Now,
And
if you
just
were
like it
going to, for example, write an essay for a class, you wrote your essay. You thought, this isn't so great. I'm not going to get an A on this. So you give it to AI, and AI cleans it up. And that's kind of interesting, as long as you don't lean on AI 100%.
right, right, yeah, and if it is your words, your prose, your idea, and AI cleans it up, I think that's okay.
Yes, I think it's okay too, because I mean, we all want to improve. And when we see how it's improved, maybe next time we can improve it on our own.
As long
That's
as
the
it's a
teacher
learn.
talking.
Now, I want to get into your influences because Emily Dickinson clearly had an influence on you. What is it about her work that still resonates with you today?
Oh, I love Emily Dickinson's work. The poem that I'm most fond of is Nobody. I'm nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us, don't tell. They'd banish us. How dreary to be somebody, how public like a frog, to spend a livelong day in an admiring bog. Okay, this of course shows her self image, and she found another person who has a low self image. And yeah, that's one of my favorites. Her influence was she let herself be her, be
Mhm.
she. She didn't try to be somebody else. Um, she had a life that was very singular. She was almost a hermit the last few years of her life. She wore all white. I just like her stuff very much. When I'm in a particular mood, I read Emily Dickinson.
That's good. Yeah. Now, you've also mentioned that you've explored the relationship between Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson, and all that they've never met. What fascinated about you that comparison?
Oh, she was older and died, and they never met, and he read her poems, and he was impressed by them, but their poems are very different. Um, that's one of the selections in Profiles in Poetry that you would have to read that to see
Okay.
their relationship, because it's several paragraphs long. But that's where it is. Um, One other thing I wanted to share about literary analysis is, yeah, literary analysis. John Denver wrote a song called Perhaps Love, which I liked. You know the song?
Yeah, so Ricky, I gotta tell you something funny. My next question that I have written down is about John Denver's
Okay, go ahead.
song.
I'm
So go
sorry.
ahead. No, no, go ahead. You already gave the
Uh,
question, so do what you're gonna do. I was
Okay.
just gonna say great
Yeah,
minds
John
think alike.
Denver wrote Perhaps Love, and I loved it, and I wrote a literary analysis. There's also a literary analysis of Puff the Magic Dragon, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Do you think it's just a children's song? It
No,
isn't.
No.
You know it isn't, okay? And then I have a discussion of the relationship between Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson, even though they have so that's in that place. Um, there was one particular poem that I wanted to share with you. I had mentioned Edgar Allan Poe earlier,
Yeah.
and, it's called Happy Birthday, Edgar Poe, and if you know Edgar Allan Poe's, work, you'll relate to some of these.
Okay. Go ahead.
Happy birthday, Edgar Poe. We love your words, we miss you so, and we'll read you evermore. Our nights are neither dark or dreary, we're neither weak or weary, but just fans of clever lore. Let's drink Amontillado from the cask, shun the red death from behind the mask. Steadfastly we await Lenore. Escape the pendulum and the pit. On the purloined letter, do not spit. Annabelle leaves back from her travels very sore. The knight in search of El Dorado sadly wound up in Colorado. For the raven, leave open a window or a door. The house of Usher, we mourn its fall, and the telltale heart sore told it all. We'll quote you, Edgar, evermore. This particular one, I'd like to talk about the rhyme scheme. Poe so, more, dreary, weary, lore. So it's AAB, CCB.
Mhm.
And this was similar to what Edgar Allan Poe used.
Now you hit all his greatest hits in that poem too, I noticed. You mentioned almost all of his prose in there.
Almost all of them. Yeah.
I thought that was a nice
It's
touch.
fun. It's fun pulling elements from other places into a piece. Um,
Now I wanted to ask you, you've written personal pieces about Carole King, Steve Jobs, Debbie Friedman, and Dr. Martin Luther King. What inspires you to honor real people through poetry?
well, I was inspired by who they are and what they do. Carole King is a very short one. This is a personal note to Carole King. Happy birthday, Carole King. I still thrill to hear you sing. With all the wondrous words you penned, tunes you penned, deep emotions you share and lend. My life, too, has been a rug of vibrant hue. Every time I add some threads, I think of you. So that's my little message to Carole King.
I like that one.
You
Did you
like
ever
them?
share
I like
did
it
you ever
too.
share it with the people you write about? You ever just try to send it to them so they could read it? No, have you ever sent did you ever send that to Carole King?
Oh, no, I haven't, and that's a very interesting question. It never even occurred to me, although I think I would get along with Carole King. I thought we could talk. That's very interesting. One of my professors in graduate school, um, wrote numerous books. Oh, he wrote a book about, Woody Allen, and he sent the book to Woody Allen. And Woody Allen never responded or thanked him or anyway, so, no, I never
Yeah,
thought about sending it to them. Just just didn't occur to me, but it's definitely a consideration. I mean, I
I
could
think
send it, somebody's going to respond.
yeah, someone's gonna read it. Now,
Yeah.
what do you enjoy more? And I know the answer to this, but I have to ask the question. Do you enjoy writing or teaching better?
Oh, that's a toughie because I have to tell you, I really love teaching, and in the 3 years I've been retired, I miss it. I love teaching very much because I feel that I used to teach writing, and I think writing is very, very important. Um, I guess if I had to choose one, I would say writing,
Oh, okay,
um,
good.
but teaching is a very close second. Um, after I retired, I taught 3 six-week classes of writing in the community. And presently, I'm teaching writing in my house. I have 4 ladies that were very, very desirous of writing. They were already wonderful writers. And then it became, so we call them the Fabulous 4. Then we call them the Fabulous 5. Now there's 6, and we call them the Fabulous Female. And that has to be all because that's all the room there is at my dining room table. And it's good for them and it's good for me. So, it keeps me, it keeps the gray cells from drying up.
Right, yeah. Now, before you were an author, you were a newspaper reporter. So, tell us a
Um,
story about convincing that editor to hire you.
um, oh, you want to hear that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me just go back to part of my bio here. Okay. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Cleveland. After I graduated from Ohio State, I am a Buckeye. My parents moved to Caldwell, New Jersey, and New Jersey is where Dick is podcasting from today. Okay. I got a job as a news reporter for the Linden Leader in Linden, New Jersey. The salary was $60 a week. I thought it was all the money in the world, and I was very happy with it.
Well, back
Um,
then it probably was.
Back then, well, it was more then than now, obviously, but I was very happy with it. Um, the editor was hesitant about hiring me because I was just out of college, and I said, "Look, give me an assignment. I'll write it up on that typewriter over there. If you like it, hire me. If not, no hard feelings." He assigned me a story about a fire in a shopping center. I wrote it up, making up the details, of course, and he liked it. It was my first job. Shortly thereafter, my parents moved to Miami, where I taught English and journalism, middle school and high school, and I was also a news reporter in Georgia and Florida. It was
Wow.
what I like about being a news reporter is that I'm on my own and I
Right.
don't have to see anybody more than once. So,
Now, do you think journalism shaped you as a poet, style-wise?
no, they're so different. They're so different. Journalism was very exciting because I could go out in the world, see somebody, meet somebody, have an excellent hour. In those days, I used to take notes, come back and write up my story. Um, Poetry is completely different. I don't see a connection.
Okay. Now, how about going back to school?
Oh, well, when I was in my 60s, when I was 59, my mother passed away. And when I was 60, I decided I would go to graduate school, and I couldn't die in my 60s because I wasn't finished with graduate school. You wanna see the denial here and the delusion that I lived under. Anyhow, I went back to graduate school. I got a master's degree from Florida International University here in Miami. I was older than all the other students and most of the professors as well, but I persevered. I'm not brilliant, but I do know how to write papers, and that's mainly what we did in graduate school.
Right.
There were wonderful professors who were impressed with me being there so late in the game.
Now, were you
Um,
intimidated at all being older than the professors and
oh,
classmates?
very well, at the beginning, I was, at the very beginning. The 22-year-old seemed so confident, and I thought, what am I doing here? But the professors were very encouraging. I had one professor 5 times, I had another one 3 times, and they liked me. Let's face it, if somebody likes you, you're good. And it's always hard to see why they like you or why they don't.
Right.
Um,
Now, if
that's
you could give someone advice who thinks they're too old to go get another degree, what would you say to them?
no, you're not too old, regardless of how old you are. I had a limitation. Well, I have some hearing loss now, but I didn't have as much then. And I would say go anyway. My mother went back to school in her, I don't know, I guess her 50s, and she got an AA degree, not a bachelor's, she got an AA degree in art history, and again, it was a little bit of a challenge, but she did it. I would say no matter how old you are, go back. Why not?
Yeah. Well, why not?
It's
I agree. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the South Florida Writers Association. You
oh, let
served
me
as
tell you,
president 3 times, conference chair 5 times.
not one after another at different times.
That's okay, but still, you've held them that many times. What was that organization and mean to you in your creative life?
How did that organization mean to me?
Yeah.
Okay, we see each other once a month at the meetings. We were just there yesterday. Um We don't socialize with most of them. 1 or 2 of them we do, but we don't but when we're there, the magic happens because we share a craft. We share our love of writing. We encourage each other. There are people of all ages, all colors, all, um, alternatives, and some of them are poets, some of them are novelists, some of them are veterans, some of them are new. They're just all a huge variety. And again, the magic that happens there is the spark that I go there for. Um, and it's just joyful. It's a very vibrant group. I've been a member like for maybe 25 years, South Florida Writers Association. And I would say to anyone who's listening, give it some thought if you have any interest in writing, because we're on Zoom as well as live here in Miami.
That's okay. That's good to know. Now, why do you think it's so important for writers to have a supportive community like that?
Maybe it isn't important for all writers because writers are typically very lone people. They're not typically social. Um, but sometimes when you feel it falling down, it's nice to have a place to go where you can talk to somebody. People have called me and asked me for advice. I do the same, and it's just comforting. I edit people's manuscripts. When they write a manuscript, they need an editor. They say, "Oh, Ricki Dorn's the one." And I've been fortunate enough to, read some very fine pieces of writing.
Now, what do you have coming up for future projects? So do you have any more books in you?
Actually, I have several books on my drawing board. Um, I think I told you I have every poem I ever wrote.
Right.
The ones on the drawing board are Sweets for the Sweet. It's a
Ooh.
dessert cookbook with, of course, some
Oh,
poems in there to sweeten it up. Poems to travel with about cities and towns and countries and places. And the third one is occasional poems, poems for every holiday, from something as significant as Christmas to small as Earth Day. And those are the 3 on my, uh the you mentioned earlier, you asked me earlier about my workshops, and the
yes.
workshops that I've done are Kickstart Your Own Creativity, Grief, Write Your Way Through It, and The Birth of a Poem, which is poetry construction. So I was just backtracking on that a little bit.
You're one of my most well-prepared guests, Ricki.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know how our time is going, but do you want 1 or 2 more, or are we done?
No, I have a couple more questions, and then we'll close out with 2 more
Sure, you
poems
have a
from you.
couple more. All
Yeah,
right, go right
and then
ahead.
we'll close out with you 2 of your poems. After writing for so many decades, do you still get nervous before starting a new poem?
Nervous starting a new poem?
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing this for so long, is it old hat
No,
now to you?
no. A couple times I've started, I wrote a line or 2, I wrote a it didn't work, so I toss it. And I don't
Okay,
worry about it. Also, when I'm writing, if I come to a place and I can't think of the right word, I just leave it blank and continue and then come back later.
come back
No, I
to it,
don't I
right.
don't, I don't get nervous.
Have you ever written a poem that was just so personal that you just did not publish it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, as a matter of fact, I have a couple. Um,
Okay.
uh, one of them was we have 2 sons, one of them was when my boys were 13 and 15, we brought a little girl into the house who was 11 and with an eye toward adopting her. And she was with us for a year, and we didn't. And even though we met years later and she doesn't, look at us with any condemnation, I always felt very guilty, and I wrote several poems about Joni. And that's a very interesting question. And there's another 1 or 2 that I've written that I wouldn't publish because they
Okay.
were just, as you say, too
Okay.
personal.
Okay. Now, if there's someone who's listening that has never read poetry before because they think it's intimidating, where should they begin?
I would say begin with sitting down either with a pad and pen or at your computer and start. And if you don't like it, leave it alone and come back. And if you don't like it, leave it alone and come back. And I would say join a writers group. There are many, many writers
Mm,
groups around.
yeah. Okay, what do you hope that readers feel after they finish one of your books?
Oh, I love that question. I hope the book makes them laugh, cry, think, relate. There have been some poems I've written about weight control, and I wasn't going to put that one in, but somebody said, put it in because another person is going to read it and say, hey, I was there. That's me. That person also is struggling with that. Um, and I guess I would hope they relate, that there'd be some poems in there. When they finish, I'd like them to say, these three poems I related to. So
Oh, good.
that's my desire.
Okay,
And I
now
also
before
want to say if anybody wants to write to me at raindance3930 Gmail just for some poetry conversation, I'd be more than happy to chat with you.
that's so nice of you, Ricky. Now listen, I have something I call Dick's lightning round. These are fast-paced questions.
Dick's
You
lightning round. These are
Yeah,
fast
just
paced.
like
Okay. So these, you want short answers to these, right?
correct, right,
Okay.
and
Go
then
right ahead.
after that, I wanna close out with 2 poems that you think you wanna close the show with because I'll leave that up to you. But
Okay. So I'll be
here we
thinking
go.
about those in the meantime because there are a couple I didn't do. All right. Go right ahead.
First
Lightning
question,
me.
favorite poet?
Favorite poem, I'm gonna say poet, probably I'm gonna say is William Shakespeare.
Okay. Favorite word in the English language?
Oh, let me think for a second. Favorite word. Gonna have to come back to that. I can't think
Okay,
of one
alright,
fast enough. But I do have favorite words.
okay. Coffee or tea when you're writing?
No, I don't eat or drink when I'm writing.
Oh, okay. Morning writer or night owl?
Oh my god, nighttime. I'm such a nighttime. I sometimes my husband wants to go to sleep at 11 o'clock, so I hang out in the bed because he likes me there. We fall asleep, I wake up at 3:30, and here I am back in my office at the computer. I do my best writing at night.
That's interesting. Pen and paper or computer?
Oh, computer. For many years, I didn't wanna get a computer at first because I was so much a pen and paper person, but, I mean, not
Yeah,
anymore.
right. One book that everybody should read?
Oh, I guess the typical answer is the Bible, but that's not gonna be my answer. I'm gonna say Gone with the Wind.
You know what? I agree with you on that one. I enjoyed that movie too.
Oh my
One
god.
place you'd still love to write a book about?
One place you'd like to look to write a what place?
Mm.
Um, maybe Mars.
Ooh. You think I'm adding a question. Do you think we'll ever get there?
Yes, I think we will. Whether it be in my lifetime, I don't know, but I think we will. And the
Alright.
moon
Well,
as well.
my last lightning round is one word that best describes your life.
My life, complicated.
Oh, maybe part 2. We'll do
Complicated.
a part 2. We'll get into the
Yes.
complicated part.
My friends that had little girls, they were simple, and boys no, the other way. Girls were more complicated, boys were straight.
Okay. Now, what 2 poems do you wanna close with? I wanna have you read 2
Okay,
more
you
for the
want one
listeners.
poem?
No, 2. I
Okay.
want you to read 2.
You want me to read 2? Okay.
Yeah, 2
I'm
that you
gonna
want to
read
leave
2
with the
little
listeners.
quatrains, and then I'm gonna find a poem that isn't on here that I like very much, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Okay, 5. The first 2 quatrains are in Profiles in Poetry, and they're Shakespearean quatrains, and they're very short. Actually, I'm gonna read 3.
Okay.
One is from Julius Caesar. 2 are from Julius Caesar. It's upon us the Ides of March, the soothsayer said, but stubborn Julius refused to listen. Next, his toga was bathed in blood. A new regime would be christened. Then another part from Julius Caesar is, those friends Roman countrymen lent Tony their ears without pouting. They heard of Brutus, an honorable man, yeah, sure, but eventually started doubting. And then the last one is probably one of my favorites because I love the play, Merchant of Venice. The quality of mercy may not be strained, but after that courtroom scene, Portia's emotions were drained. So these are just quatrains. Oh, here's one more, a short one. And this is from Hamlet. To catch the conscience of the king, the play was just the thing, but royal demeanor began to wilt as Claudius revealed his guilt. So those are the quatrains. And now let me see if I can find the particular one that I really would like to share with you.
Okay.
And you just have to give me a minute. It's called Ice Cream in the Morning.
Ooh, I like the title.
If somebody asked me what my favorite food is, I probably would say ice cream. What's your favorite food, Dick?
Pizza.
Pizza. Okay. And then I'm gonna ask what you think the poem is really about.
All right, go
Ice
ahead.
cream in the morning, let its smoothness spill all over you. Absorb the sugar to sweeten your mood. Make it cool to make it cool your heated temper. Ice cream in the morning. Be greedy, but savor it. Eat it when you need it. Ice cream doesn't live by the clock. One who eats ice cream in the morning says, I can do what I please. I'm not bound by tradition. I'll feed my soul with the cold and the smooth whenever it calls me. Nuts and chocolate chips and bits of fruit rebel against the quiet fluidity of ice cream, against the well-behaved roundness of a scoop, and the free-spirited hills and caves of the ice cream in the box. Ignore this civil war and eat ice cream in the morning. Anyhow, that is,
All right. If I had to guess, for me, it meant be yourself and never hesitate to do what you wanna do.
as I've gotten older, I've become more confident. I think as we get older, that happens. Um, the hesitancy of youth.
Right, yeah. Alright, before I let you go, Ricky, looking back over this remarkable journey, and remarkable is even not enough of a big enough word, from seven-year-old writing poetries for your at a family picnic to publishing 6 books, what has poetry given to you?
Poetry has given me comfort, confidence, and pleasure.
Awesome.
I love it. It is my thing, and it is my first language.
That's awesome. And finally, if your life was summarized in one final poem, what would you hope the closing stanza would say?
Well, I can't come up with a stanza, but I can come up with a line.
Hit
The
me.
line would be, "My soul has stood up and is willing to be counted."
Awesome. Ricky, I want to thank you for sitting down with me. It's been a pleasure, and I know my listeners are going to love this too. It is quite outside of the norm of my normal guest, and that's not an insult, that's a compliment. You're bringing some validity and some class to this podcast for me. So,
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me. It was a joy and a pleasure to be here.
and when your next book comes out, I'll have you on again and you could talk about that, okay?
You've got it. We're
All
on.
right.
Okay. Take
Thank
care.
you, Ricky.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.